Well, police are this morning still hunting a gunman who shot an innocent boy and his mum, 29-year-old Jane Hickey, at their home in Greater Manchester on Monday.
The pair, who are in hospital with life-changing injuries, unfortunately aren't the only victims to get caught in the crossfire of rival gangs on Britain's streets.
It was Manchester's fifth shooting in 4 days, all thought to be related to gang crime. On Saturday in Birmingham, 20 shoppers were caught in the crossfire and 4 people were shot outside a Costcutter when it was sprayed with bullets by gunmen. And in July, a father of 2 was killed and a woman injured in machine gun fire in London. Police say they were not the intended targets. And also in Liverpool, a man was jailed in September after a revenge attack on what turned out to be an innocent stranger. Well, former detective Sue Hill is here. This is all terrifying when you see some of these figures and you imagine the fear it's engendering in the areas where those people live. What's gone wrong? Why are we seeing a spate of violence like this?
Well, I certainly think that's, at the moment up in Manchester, that is so frightening, that little boy, and everybody this morning will be frightened opening their doors. I want to give some reassurance. These things are still very rare compared to other countries, but I think Sir Peter Fahey made an interesting point when he said that one of the major things he brought in was community policing. And if we don't continue with that community policing and the strategy that Theresa May talked about, the end of gang warfare and youth violence, where it has to be a multi-agency approach. It just can't be the police dealing with these issues. It has to be everyone joined together.
But so you say it's rare. It might be rare if you take the country as a whole, but within the concentrated areas where it's happening, it doesn't feel rare to the people who live there,
Oh, of course not. If you're living there, you are frightened.
Yes, exactly. They're talking about living in war zones,
and also,
gang war zones.
Absolutely, they are frightened, and I would be frightened, particularly when you see a young child and it kind of brings it home to you. However, across the country, crime is on the increase around violent crime, certainly youth violence. In London, for example.
On the increase?
It is on the increase. I remember in 2008 we had something like 28, 29 teenage murders. Now in the last month in London we've seen there's been an increase by 23% of youth violence in London. And that is scary. And also when you look at some of the reductions in resources, Manchester, have lost 1,500 officers already, and there's a peak in youth violence, so that is a concern.
I mean, in your experience, a child of 7 being shot?
Well, we've had another child that was shot in a supermarket not that long ago, we'll remember. But
there's a difference between being caught up in crossfire, isn't there, and the suggestion that somebody... I mean, we don't know.
We don't know the
background.
We don't know, do we? But obviously when a 7-year-old, any child is shot. But I just think, in general terms, that violence, when it's happening on your doorstep and you want to feel safe, in your own home. And I would think in Manchester this morning, people are frightened. You're walking your children to school, and it is that fear. But the one thing, though, the police will continue. There'll be a massive resource put into this to make sure they find the perpetrators. And 9 times out of 10 they will.
Speak out, though, Sue. Well, if there's someone out there that can stand in front of a 7-year-old boy and shoot them in the leg, who is going to have the courage to speak out against someone of that mentality?
Well, unless you do that, Kate, unless you come forward, you will continue. These offences will continue. It's the same, against murders against young people. People have to stand up. Parents, families. If you know your child's involved in gangs, in London, for example, there are over 225 gangs. Now, parents know about that. They have a responsibility. And if you don't stand up to be counted, then these crimes will continue. They will escalate. So my appeal would be to those people in Manchester, if you have any information, then you must come forward, because the only way you'll stop it is working together with the criminal justice system.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously a very sensitive situation, isn't it? And a frightening one for those involved. Thanks very much indeed. So good.